Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Concept 3D webinar for repurposing your virtual tour for social media and beyond. Today, I'm going to be talking about the different ways that you can use the content from your virtual tour to make the most engaging social media posts. I'm going to be your host, Michael Davis, but we'll get more into that with our introductions, which is actually the first step on the agenda. Then we're going to go over what tools you have and how to use them. We're going to talk a little bit about some Facebook information, and then we're going to be making an engaging post together, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. It's going to be pretty exciting. Cool. So as I said, my name is Michael Davis. Let me share my screen. That'd probably be pretty helpful. All right. So this is the repurposing your virtual tour for social media and beyond. I am Michael Davis. My dog's name is Milo. I'm a video production nerd turned social media nerd. I actually went to the University of Oklahoma to study video production. And then whenever I joined the corporate world, I went into social media because at the heart of social media is storytelling, and at the heart of video production is also storytelling. So it just made the most sense. I currently handle the social media at Concept 3D. So shout out to our Facebook and LinkedIn. You should definitely go check it out. Before that, I managed hundreds of social media accounts. One of the accounts I managed had over 400,000 followers. Another social media account that I managed is actually a person that's famous in Nigeria. And before and after I managed his account, he actually got one of those little blue verified check marks, which is a pretty big deal in social media. Not to say that I did that, but again, I handled his social media account before and after he got that blue check. So that's pretty cool. A bonus fun fact, since this is the first time y'all are probably meeting me, is I can juggle pretty well. Doesn't really have anything to do with social media, but gives you a little window into my life. So the tools you have are branded Facebook. This isn't a personal Facebook. This is a Facebook for your university or college. This webinar is not going to talk about how to launch your personal brand, but it will talk about how to launch your awareness of your university and college. Secondly, you're going to have some 360 panoramas. So if you are a client of ours, you have access to your 360 panoramas. If you have a different virtual tour provider, you should definitely check with that virtual tour provider and see if they allow you access to your 360 panoramas. And then lastly, you have someone who knows and loves your school, which is you. It's that little monkey pointing at you. Okay, so onto Facebook information. You have on the left the front end of Facebook, which is what viewers see, or probably what most of us, how we consume Facebook. It's the regular timeline that you're used to. You can see that I have some sort of boosted post about the Facebook Watch. And then below that is a post of my friends renting out an arcade, which is typically what you want to see whenever you're on Facebook, right? Is those like happy, just organic moments that your friends and family have. And we'll get into a little bit about why that matters. And then on the right side is the back end of Facebook. There's the ads manager. This is typically what marketers see. You might be super used to this back end of Facebook, and that's exciting. If you have never seen this before, that's also all right. We're going to be, there's going to be enough information for the people that don't know anything about the back end, and then we should still have some learning opportunities for the people that know a bunch about the back end. So the reason why we're focusing on Facebook today is because Facebook is the only social media that natively integrates 360 panoramas in the way that we're typically used to seeing 360 panoramas. So behind this title slide is a 360 panorama of the University of Denver. And as you can see, it's sort of warped. There's almost three areas of focus. And that's what 360 panoramas typically look like whenever they're not in the 360 panorama that we're used to engaging with. So this is sort of the raw image. And whenever you upload this raw image to Facebook, it'll actually warp it so that you can engage with it in the same manner that you engage on your virtual tours. But if you're to post it on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or really any other social media, it'll just look like this warped image, like how you're seeing behind this title slide. So that's why we're focusing so much on the 360 panoramas in Facebook, because also 360 images are 3 times more likely to be engaged upon. And so couple that with the tools that I'm going to give you later on today, you will definitely have an extremely engaging Facebook post. So making the post, hashtag, should I use a hashtag? This is something that a lot of people probably just automatically think I should use a hashtag because it's social media, but that's actually the wrong way that you should be thinking about it. You should definitely not use a hashtag on Facebook for your business. The reason being, going back to my friend's post, we're so used to seeing on Facebook, like friends and family post about like what they did over the weekend or happy moments in their life and stuff. And, you know, they don't typically use hashtags whenever they're posting about their life. And if they do, it's typically like ironic. And so whenever you use a hashtag, you're automatically like outing yourself as a marketer, right? Which is something that you shouldn't do on Facebook, because, you know, people don't go on Facebook because they want to be marketed to. They go on Facebook because they want to see memories and like see like cool things that happened with their friends and family. And so as soon as you upload that hashtag, they automatically know you're not friends and family. So you kind of want to sneak up and like pretend to be their friend and family. Also, Facebook's algorithm actually doesn't really like hashtags. Reason being is Facebook likes to just use their own algorithm the way that they want to use it. And so whenever you use hashtags, it gets confused as to why you essentially don't trust their algorithm, and will try to funnel all of their energy into that hashtag, which doesn't really work as well as you'd want. So whenever you're making a post, make sure to not include hashtags. Here's some things that you should be thinking about whenever you're making the post. Who are you making the post for? So this is actually a great question for you to answer, because you are the authority in making posts for this crowd. I have a general idea of who I suspect you're like targeting, but if you have your own policies on who you target for admissions items, you know, use your policies, don't use mine. And then what does that audience typically enjoy doing? And we'll talk about a little bit about that later. And then how will engaging on this post make my audience look and feel to their peers? So this is actually something that a lot of people don't think about, but it's so important, right? So a good post example would be you have content that says like 10 tips to clean your dirty apartment, right? Let's say you make that content, you're probably like, everyone has a dirty apartment, or a lot of people have dirty apartments. So it's obviously gonna, you know, go over really well. But you're missing out on 2 key ways to engage on that post. Number one is, if I like that post about having or clip tips to clean a dirty apartment, all my friends and family now know that I have a dirty apartment because I engaged on that post. You know what I mean? Because whenever I engage, it shows up on my timeline as Michael Davis engaged on such and such post. And so whenever I have, you know, I engaged on 10 tips to clean a dirty apartment, it just is showing everyone that I have a dirty apartment. And Facebook is all about making people look and feel awesome, right? Specifically themselves. So if you're to go on someone's Facebook page, they're not going to be posting like the most boring things that happen in their life. They're going to be posting like the most exciting, like almost like outlandish view of their life on Facebook, because that's sort of what Facebook is. We just try to post how cool our lives are. And so keep that in mind whenever you're making the post. And then going back to the 10 tips to clean a dirty apartment, you also can't tag anyone on that post too, because then that person thinks like that they have a dirty apartment and you're calling them out for it. So if I were to get tagged on a post that said 10 tips to clean a dirty apartment, I'd be like, why is my friend tagging me on this post? That's so like mean. You know, so keep that in mind on like how it makes your audience look and feel to their peers if they engage on that post. You want to make them look and feel awesome. So think about that whenever you're making the post. And then what should you do with the post once you make it? Just boost it. Organic isn't doing as well as it used to. And part of that is because Facebook knows that they're gonna have other companies pay to boost their posts. So we're now in the situation that you just need to boost the post. All right, so let's make a post together. I'm going to jump into a pre-recorded section of me making a post, but stick around because I'm going to be talking about the #1 mistake that most people make on their Facebook channel after this video. So stay tuned. Facebook, so you can find this from business.facebook.com. If you're not used to it, it's basically just a hub for your analytics, audience insights. You have a calendar and activity, etc., etc. We're not really going to go too deep into it. We're just going to go right here, the biggest button on it, which is the create post. As I mentioned earlier, Facebook is the only social media that allows 360 panos, so you want to make sure that this Instagram is unchecked. We do not want to post to Instagram right now. So with that knowing, we're going to go add photo. And so whenever you see, these are all my 360 panos. Whenever you're looking for a pano to add, typically you want to have something that's like light and bright and happy. Maybe if there's a bunch of flowers or it's just a very beautiful part of your campus. The reason being is because on Facebook, it's the light and bright stuff that grabs the most attention. That being said, I'm actually going to break that rule because this Texas A&M University of Commerce has a super cool planetarium that I wanted to include in it. And so if you have a planetarium or something that's just like really unique, then that is what I would suggest having like your front image on, because it's just so different. This is sort of what a planetarium looks like, just so you can get an idea. I love that little galaxy above it. It's just so cool. So this is how you know that Facebook ingested it correctly, is it doesn't look like this warped image, right? It looks like this little square cutout of the 360 panorama, and it says something like 1024 by 1024. So that's how you know that it's correct and it's going to be ingested as a 360 photo. If you do load preview, you're not going to get that 360 little circle icon that you might be used to. That's just because it's just showing you the preview. You don't really need to worry about that. As long as it's square or it's just like a cutout, that's what you really want to see. Everything else is fine. If it is 360 pano and it has that warped image, I would just do some searching on Google as to like why that might be it. It's probably because of the resolution, or maybe it doesn't have the tag or the metadata that Facebook needs that knows or for it to know that it's a 360 photo. And sometimes that's just like running it through a website, and it's fine. It adds that tag for you, and then you can just post it on Facebook without problem. Now that we have the image uploaded, we're going to make the post. I like to start off with one line of text first, right? And what I'm going to do is an all caps image of picture this with a little emoji of a camera. So the reason being, let's start with the picture this part. I would say that the best posts typically have like 2 to 3 words at the top of the post. And the reason being is because whenever you're scrolling through Facebook, there's so much data and information that people are literally like throwing at you that it gets kind of overwhelming. And what you'll find yourself doing on Facebook is you're just scrolling really quickly to see like what catches your eye. And whenever you have something small like this and it says picture this and it's just 2 or 3 words, and it breaks up that sort of like monotonous long paragraph by paragraph posts, it also is like so easily read by your brain. Like if you scroll by it, you might read picture this subconsciously without even knowing it, because it's one of those things that is just like such small words that your brain just like picks up and automatically reads it, and then that might hook you into like reading it further, right? So picture this: high school is over. I'm going to have another sentence that's really small because you want it to be just really easy to read, right? You want it to be, imagine like this post is like a really long slip inside. Bear with me on this analogy. A post is a really long slip and slide. Picture this: it's like what gets you onto the slip and slide. High school is over, you're starting to slide down, everything is easy. And as they read further, it's gonna be easier and easier to keep reading. But the hardest part is to get that initial um, entry onto the slogan slide, or like that initial entry to reading it. And that's why that picture this or 2 or 3 words is so helpful to grab that attention. And then the second sentence is also small because we're wanting to like ease that movement into reading the rest. So we're going to say high school's over. It's your first day on college campus. So a slightly longer sentence, right? Because we're starting to read it more and more. Which one of these spots do you think Okay, so it has a question. Questions are always engaging. And then something that I would like to point out is the check out our full virtual tour here, and then you'd add the link. I'm not actually going to add the link right now because this is just a test to show you guys. But what's important to point out here is check out our virtual tour. I don't say click the link or for this instance, I'm not saying click the link because Facebook's algorithm doesn't like whenever you give such direct things. Like if you're to say, like this post or share this post with, or tag someone on this post because, X, Y, and Z, it's actually going to bury that post down in Facebook's algorithm because Facebook doesn't like this sort of like spammy messages that sort of incurs. So like you have to be kind of like tricky with it, So I'm saying check out our virtual tour rather than click the link. Rather than saying like tag someone, you might want to say like, I bet you know someone who would find this useful or something, So yeah, that's just a little nugget that I hope that you take away from this. So we have our post. We think that it's pretty good. We're going to go ahead and instead of hitting publish, we're going to boost it because, as I said earlier, organic is sadly dead. So we want to boost the post. So I'm just clearing out some of the stuff that I had previously. So it might look something like whenever you get on here, it's going to say 18 to 65-year-old, we're everywhere. So we're just going to narrow it down. We want all the genders, obviously. We want to be inclusive. I'm going to say that the age probably would be 16 to 18-year-olds of who you want to advertise to. Again, this is going back to the audience best. So if you have your own policies in place to advertise towards prospective students, I would say go with that. But we're gonna put in the United States under locations. So I'm sort of emulating what a larger campus would do. So like a state school, or if you're a community college, I would suggest probably not just advertising all of the United States because about like 85, 95, 99% even maybe of the people that you're reaching don't know your community college and likely won't go to a community college that they're not the community of. So if you're a community college or a smaller school, maybe just advertise within that state or within that area. You can even do like zip codes if you wanted to get really crazy with it. And then detailed targeting, what happens with this, right? If you don't know, is let's say like I were to narrow the audience and I was like interested in college, let's say. So a couple things. First, what's going to happen is it's going to say, all right, who do we want to advertise to? We're going to advertise to all genders, and then all genders plus they have to be 16 to 18-year-olds, and then all genders that are 16 to 18-year-olds that have to live in the United States, and then that are also interested in college. Okay, and the reason why I actually don't want to add interested in college is because if you noticed, it cut the potential audience size by a third. And that's because not everyone that's interested in college just blasts that on Facebook. There's a lot of like people that are kind of quietly interested in college. And so I'm gonna exit out of this. I'd rather cast a wider net and let Facebook do its algorithm and figure out who it wants to send it to rather than me trying to play Facebook's algorithm. What I will do though is I will exclude someone because I want to exclude everyone that's in college currently. And so notice that it says in college education level rather than an interest. Just keep that in mind. You always want to do it. So like with this in college, I'm making sure that their education level is in college. So that way they're excluded from that audience. And then that dropped about 100,000 people, which is pretty good. So we would save it. And then here's the budget. You can change the budget to however you see fit, but I just wanted to run some calculations by you really fast. So here's the estimated reach, 4,900 people by 5 days. So if you were to see how much, people you'll see on the bottom end through this whole campaign is 24,500 people, and this is on the low end, right? And so now let's say that your post has like a 5% engagement level. You're seeing 1,225 engagements on that post. And what is cool about that is one, you can invite all those people that liked that post or engaged on that post to like your page as well. So now you have an inflow of people that are liking your page that may have not liked your page previously. So that's cool. And then number two is engagement sort of goes in a logarithmic, like in an exponential way. So the reason being is whenever you see someone, the first like, is always kind of weird. If you see a post that doesn't have no likes, you're probably not going to engage on it. But if it has 10 likes, you're more likely to engage on it. If it has 100 likes, you're just like, my engagement's just a drop in the bucket. If it has thousands of likes, it's actually even going to pull the attention to that post even more, especially since colleges don't typically have engagements with or posts with a whole bunch of engagement. So you're going to be something new if you have a bunch of engagements on your post. Like if you have 1,000 engagements on your post, that's not typical for colleges. So you're going to catch the attention of the viewer while they're just skimming through the timeline just on the engagement alone. And then they can see that, you have a 360 panorama as well. And then it's linked out to your virtual tour website, and then you're just piling on engagement, right? So jumping off the soapbox, that's cool. And then you just set budget and boost it. I'm not going to click it because, that is just sort of the test. Let's say you want to just make a post about an individual interest, right? So picture this. Since I'm going to use the planetarium as the example for this again, picture this: a class under the stars. That obviously sounds cool. If that makes you excited, you should check our award-winning astronomy program. And then what I would do is I would link out to whatever web page you have that talks about your astronomy program, right? Because if you have a planetarium, you probably have an astronomy program, and you want to give that information to that audience of people, right? So then what we're going to do is boost. I'm going to edit this. And this is whenever we would add the detailed targeting, because we're trying to target people that specifically like, astronomy. And so now you have 120,000 people that you're going to reach, but you're going to reach like that audience is like one, already prospective students. They're not in college and they're interested in astronomy. And then here's a photo of a planetarium that you can engage with and you can interact with. And then also, while you're at it, you should check out our astronomy program. By the way, it's award-winning, right? Those students are definitely going to check it out, and it's going to be on the top of their mind. And no other colleges is doing this, and so you're just playing on sort of like an undersaturated area right now, So it's exciting, and then you boost that post, and you get as gold right now. So that is the end of the demo on how to make an engaging post and how to boost it. All right, cool. We are back. So the number one mistake that most people make on their Facebook and actually this just goes across all social media, is actually you want to have like a really healthy mix of links, photos, and videos. A lot of the times people will just focus very heavy on like photos and links because that's the easiest. But whenever you have like sort of that perfect like pie chart of like 33% photos, 33% videos, 33% links, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything are actually going to promote your channel more. So there you have it. On to the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? All right, one popped in. Let me see. Pause sharing for right now. All right. So the question is, beyond Facebook, what is the best platform for sharing? And this is actually kind of like, will probably come to a surprise, but actually YouTube would be the best platform to share content around your virtual tour. If you wanted to, you can make a guided virtual tour for that with sort of just like a screen record of you going through the virtual tour, and audio and video of you explaining each stop as if it were a sort of real life tour. The reason being is actually 95% of the age range that prospective students are in have a YouTube and follow a YouTube. And it makes sense. I mean, whenever I was like looking for colleges, I remember I would try to look up like day in the life of videos on YouTube for the colleges that I was looking at. So yeah, that concludes the Concept 3D social media and beyond. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.